Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bookcraft, conversations from every side of the story. I'm your host, Colleen, debut author, and somebody that has just done a bit of a book unhaul. So this is what we're going to talk about today in the episode is when you do that unhaul of the books that you don't want or you know you're not going to read again, or there could be some other reasons for it. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. Before we get to that, though, if you don't know, my debut book, Undercurrents of Love, is published now. And this is a book that you definitely do not want to unhaul. This is a book for everyone that ever thought, I would love to work with animals, or somebody that just thought, you know what? I don't want somebody else to tell me what my dreams are going to be because I'm going to make my own dreams. This book follows characters. They are a lovable band of dolphin trainers and researchers that work together on an island. You have dolphins, you have a dog. It's a fantastic story. So if you have not picked up Undercurrents of Love yet, it is available on any Amazon platform or my website, and all the links will be in the bio. Now, let's get to this book Unhauling. So I find at the end of a year and the beginning of the following year, we kind of fall into numerous camps. So we have the people that are doing their stats for the year, what they read, the books that they loved. And then we have the people that are going, oh my goodness, there's so many books coming out next year. I got to get rid of some of these books so I can make space on my shelves. Then we have the people that fall into the category of, let's put it this way, the ones that I particularly am not enjoying right now. And these are the people that are posting their worst books of the year, the books that they hated, the books that they wish they'd never read. And with those people, I want them to just move along. Just move along. You know what? If you didn't enjoy the book, just move along. You don't need to tell everybody about it because you're basically taking some authors' hopes and dreams of their book, doing well and selling well, and you are crushing them. And there's kind of no need for it. Now, the book haul people, so those are the people that get these giant hauls of books. Now, this might be they go to the store on a holiday promotion. Or there's like the sort of the big bookstore here in Canada, the Indigo, will do 30% off our upcoming Canadian most anticipated bestsellers, like fill in the blanks what it's going to be. You might have people that get books sent to them. So a publisher is sending them books because they have become influential in the book talk, bookstagram, booktube sphere. Or you could have somebody that is on one of the sites like NetGalley, where you could apply to get advanced reader copies of books. So this is how people haul books in. So they will get in lots of books. Some of them actually will also have their subscribers send them book mail. So somebody saw a video, they really liked it, and they've decided to check out their either Amazon wish list or bookshop.org wish list or whatever it is, and they have sent them something. So these are how people will haul books in. Now, where I am very challenged by this is the people that get the book haul, where now they're doing the unhauling, so getting rid of books. And I'm going to let you know, friends, there's been a few videos in the last couple days where there's been some people sitting with upwards of 100+ books. And these are books that they were given, that they were, a publisher thought they would like to read it. Sometimes people get book mail that they were not anticipating or asking for. Okay, so I want to do a little bit of clarification. There's this overconsumption of books, and by overconsumption, I mean you've applied to get books as an advanced reader, or you have, got people to send you books, or, you went on these big binge buying sprees, and you actually bought books or received books that you're never going to read. So maybe you're a sci-fi girly, I'm a sci-fi girly, and you suddenly got a whole bunch of memoir. I don't know. Maybe you don't read memoir, and suddenly somebody sent you a whole bunch of memoir, and you're like, oh shoot, oh, I didn't actually want these books. So there's a difference between, you know, going out and, you know, sort of being that book dragon and hoarding the books, or applying for these programs where you can get a ton of books. And then there's also the, somebody that was very well intentioned has sent you some books. My challenge is that I'm seeing some of these videos where people are doing these massive unhaulings, and I am hoping and I am praying that these books are going somewhere that will make a difference. So here where I live, in Canada, I can take my books either to a local independent bookstore. So a place like Porchlight Books is a great place where you could take your books and they'll do a store credit for you. And they're very picky with the books. There's a brand new store opening up. I'm very excited in Leduc, which is just a little city just outside of the city that I live in. A mother-daughter duo is opening a brand new and used bookstore. And so the books that I'm going to talk about today in this video, I'm actually taking to their bookstore so that they can have them to sell when they open their brick and mortar. The library is another great option. We have a big giant, it's called Books. I think it's called Books to Buy, and it acts as a fundraiser for the library. So if you find yourself in this space that I kind of want to focus on today, which is you're unhauling books that you've either read, you didn't enjoy, you read, you're never going to read again, you received as a gift, and you're like, gosh, that person was so thoughtful because they know I love books, but I don't read this type of book. Or maybe like me, and this is what I'm actually unhauling today, so that's why it's a little bit of a different unhauling. I share books with my family, and sometimes when they're done with a set of books, I will take those books, assuming that I'm going to read those books. And here's what I've figured out in the last year. I have a very robust reading life, and I read multiple genres. There's not a genre really that I don't read. It's funny actually, literary fiction would probably be my least read genre. But World War I, World War II books, just really not my jam. And not to say that they're not amazing. I have read books written in that time period that I have absolutely enjoyed, but it's not my main thing. And so what I actually did the other day was I went to my shelves, and so anybody that's watching the YouTube video, I'm going to insert the video of my very messy shelf that I go through. And I went and I picked books that I had received from other people. Most of the books that I am unhauling were books that I actually never purchased. They were given to me. Somebody else was cleaning out their shelves and was like, you read a ton of books. Here you go. And so I ended up with all these books. So I feel like at this time of year, there's kind of this dichotomy. Let's put it that way. You have the people that are unhauling their books because they have had this overconsumption of books that were sent to them, or however they got all those books. And some of them are ones where, like, they're a special edition and they weren't even opened. And I can understand, like, again, if somebody sent that book to you thinking this would be something that you'd really enjoy, and you got this book and you're like, oh, it's not actually something I like. Holy doodle, the person that gets that special edition, that randomly picks it up in their little free library or their local, new and used bookstore is going to be really excited for that. But I wanted to know from all of you, do you ever have where you look at your bookshelves and you think, why am I holding this book? And so for me, I had a lot of books on my bookshelf, so there's 29 books that are leaving my house and they're going to live elsewhere. And of those 29 books, there's only 3 of them that I actually purchased for myself, and the rest of them were given to me with very good intentions that I would enjoy them, that I would want to read them. And much of that is that the person that, said, "Here you go, I've got this stack of books, check it out. Maybe you'd like to read them." We hadn't actually had a conversation about sort of what my reading preferences are. So, with that, for those of you that are listening, I'm going to pause here because I'm going to put the video on for the YouTube people so they can see the books. And then I'm going to come back. So I'm going to take a little pause right now. Okay, so I'm not embarrassed at all, but it's my bookshelf. And I literally have books like up top, shoved into every corner, every crevice. Like, oh my gosh, look at this. And so the unhauling that I'm going to do, again, this isn't books that are books that I read that I didn't like. This is books that I got and, either from other people's bookshelves that they were like, oh, I don't want these books anymore. And I was like, oh, maybe I want to read that. And I've just realized that I don't want to read them. They're not my style. They're not the genre that I prefer. Like I'm like, I love mystery, I love romance, I love sci-fi, I love all those. So those books are all staying, but it's just the ones that are not my preferred genre to read that I'm going to give a chance to have a home somewhere else. And I think that's the great thing with books, is if you've got something that you're like, this is not for me, give it to somebody else, because guaranteed that book is for somebody else. Okay, and I'm back. Honestly, it's easier for me to edit if I actually take that little bit of a pause. So for those of you that saw the video, if you're on YouTube, you would see that I had some very messy bookshelves, and I couldn't actually fit the books that I have purchased into any of the slots on my bookshelf because my shelf was overflowing. That is only one set of shelves that I have. So in my house, I have 3 sets of bookshelves like the one behind me if you're watching the video. If you're not, it's like I'd say a Billy bookcase from IKEA. I have 3 of those. 2 of them are specifically just for my food cookbook, food memoir, food travel books. I have 2 full shelves of that, beautifully displayed. I actually, when people come for my chocolate bar classes, because we do it in where I'm recording my video, and some people think the books are for sale. They're not for sale, but thank you for asking, because I do have them merchandised very nicely. I then have another sort of a Billy size books case in my bedroom, and then I have a full massive IKEA. Oh my gosh, it's like a 6 cube by 6 cube set in my living room with all of my other book trophies. With all the books that I looked at that I didn't want anymore, these are from genres that I don't typically read. But for all of you that are out there, if you're looking at curating your bookshelf for an aesthetic or for longevity and what it says about you as a reader when somebody comes over and they're looking at your bookshelves, what are some of the things that you're thinking about? Are you the type of person, because I am the type of person, I want my books that are in a series all to be the same size. I don't want any weird font changes on the spines. That kind of makes me crazy. I want the aesthetic of the series to look cohesive, and when it doesn't, it makes me a little bit perturbed. Are you somebody that doesn't care? You're like, I have a series and I got books of all different sizes in the series, and it doesn't matter to me. Are you somebody that likes to read a book, maybe you get it at the library, and then you think, I actually need to own this? I did this just 2 days ago. So I finished a book and I loved it so much. I was doing a book signing at a local independent bookstore, Audrey's, the other day, and they had a copy of the book there. And I actually, when I finished doing the book signing for my book, I went purchased it because I got it from the library. And the whole book, I enjoyed it so much. It was called The School of Essential Ingredients by Erica Bauermeister. I don't think I'm saying her last name right. The book was beautiful and I absolutely enjoyed it. And I guess it would fall under literary fiction. Oh, isn't that funny? And here I'm like, I don't read a lot of literary fiction, but typically I don't actually read a lot of literary fiction. And but is your bookshelf a representation of you? And if you're thinking about books, because here's where I get sticky. There are some books that I read the book, I enjoy the book, I finish the book, and I keep it because I want it so I can get that warm, fuzzy feeling when I look at it again and think, oh, I love that book so much. But what I'm finding now, as my shelf space is getting more and more limited, I mean, I need a new house. If anybody wants to buy me a new house with a beautiful library, I would not say no to that. But what I'm finding now, as I'm starting to run out of space on my shelves, is there are some books where I read it. It was good, but I don't want to save the books. And it's interesting because I have a series that was written by a local author, and I enjoyed the series. I was like, this was really unique. What a cool story. I like the setting. But when I looked at the books, I was like, I don't think I would ever even pick them up again. And I couldn't think of anybody in my circle of friends that I could recommend it to. Again, not because it was poorly written, not because of the content of it. It's a dystopian sci-fi set in the near future. It's very bleak. And I was thinking about my friends that I have right now, and I thought, you know what? I don't think anybody right now would like to read something quite so bleak. And so I'm going to pass that along because there's going to be somebody out there that set of books is going to be the books for them. They're going to love it. They're going to potentially keep it as their own little shelf trophy. So that's where I kind of am at with the book Unhauling right now. 2 years ago, I unhauled 60 of my cookbook food books. And that was a very specific unhauling. These were all books that I had purchased myself. And it was for a really specific point in my life when I was working as a chef in a restaurant and I was teaching classes that were all centered around a specific uh, food type, which was raw, vegan, and gluten-free food. So I was working at a restaurant where that is the food that we served, and I personally wanted to know everything I could, and so I had about 60 cookbooks of that food style. And then I realized that I had moved away from making that kind of food. I had learned everything I needed to learn from the books. I didn't really need to look at them again because that type of cooking or uncooking is kind of second nature to me after working in the restaurant for so long and teaching those courses for so many years that I found that the reference value of the books wasn't there anymore. And I donated them to the library and they were thrilled because it's kind of a niche topic for books and one that doesn't always necessarily make sense for a library to purchase books that are, where it's something really specific, where you're going to have a very small amount of the population that would actually request that book. So it went into their donation sale, and they were thrilled because the books were all in beautiful condition. They're absolutely stunning books. So unhauling books is something that I have done over the years. But the last thing that I wanted to say is a bit of good fortune. So, being that my former life 3 lives ago was being a dolphin trainer, I accumulated so many textbooks, reference books related to not just dolphins, but marine mammals, all of the different types of whales, porpoises, seals, sea lions, and all of those marine creatures. And these are big, hefty, $150 textbooks. And I did move these books from Canada to the Bahamas, to Denmark, to Nevada, to Florida, to Ontario. I'm not even kidding you. These books have traveled everywhere with me. My family can attest to the fact that, yes, I have moved these books everywhere with me. A few years ago, when I came back to Canada, I was like, okay, well, I'm obviously not going to be a marine mammal trainer again. I'm going to get rid of these books. But I actually didn't get rid of the books. They are in our shed. And I now am so grateful that I did not get rid of these books, because as I'm writing my Lagoon Chronicles series, a lot of the dolphin information and fun facts that I weave into the story, I know off by heart just because I worked with them for so many years. But there's a few little really fun, obscure things that are in those textbooks, and I am going to go and get them. Just not right now because they're really heavy. And I'm so glad that I did not get rid of those books, because at the time when I was looking to unhaul those books, the university where I went to university, they didn't want them. They were like, they're a bit out of date. But the thing is, the information in them wasn't really out of date, because in the marine mammal field, the rate that information is gathered, research information, just new things that you would know about a species, it's not like it's a daily, oh my gosh, we just learned this and we just learned this and it's not like that. It takes decades to learn and puzzle out even just physiological functions in these animals. And when I worked with porpoises, porpoises were a species that was really unknown. There was only 2 places in the world that had porpoises. I worked at one of them that was in Denmark. The other one was in the Netherlands. And there was one textbook on porpoises, and that was probably 40 years of information in a textbook. And that was it. We were on the cutting edge of learning more, but there wasn't, another book being written at that point. So the books weren't really out of date, but from a university standpoint, for the science library, they were like, yeah, we can't really use them. So it's this weird, fun, happy coincidence that I actually still have these books. So I will do a video at some point. You're going to have to see my terrible looking shed. And I will get that out there for you. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about today. So let me know, what are the books that you keep? What are the books that you are happy to part with? Do you think about doing a massive unhauling once every couple years, once a year? Do you like to have one set of bookshelves? And if a book comes in, a book needs to go out. That's how some people do it. And what do you think of these content creators that do these massive unhaulings where it's hundreds of books? And I, I guess my thought for some of these is, my goodness, somebody else would have probably really liked that book, and it's a book that you didn't read and you're simply getting rid of it now. I think with some of these, publisher partnerships that they have with content creators, I almost wonder if the content creator or the publisher should be a bit more specific on the books that they receive. So, if you know that Westerns are not the book that you read, maybe you don't get sent those books. And let's be honest, a lot of times what people are getting sent is the books that the publisher thinks are going to be the next book talk sensation. And we can talk all about that another date. I actually have not been on my TikTok account in 2 months now, because it's toxic waste. There's just so many terrible things that happen on TikTok, and I don't want that in my brain right now. So I'm thinking about if I'm going to go back to TikTok at this point. But I was hoping that TikTok would help with my book sales, I don't know that my people are there. And that's what I'm thinking right now. So, however you enjoy books, reading, writing, there's always a place for you here. I hope to see you again very soon. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a great day.